All right, first things first, before we get started, check out raw, natural, unrefined hemp rolling papers at www.rawthenic.com. Made in Alcoy, Spain, raw rolling papers are unbleached and unrefined with no chalk, no dyes, and no burning additives so that you can actually, truly taste the natural flavors of what you're smoking on. So those whackwoods, those swishes stinks, save that for the booth. If you're smoking that good, you're going to want to taste it. So check them out at www.rawthenic.com. That's RAWTHENTIC.com. Check out their wide variety of papers, cones, tips, rolling trays, grinders, t-shirts, skateboards, collectibles, and so much more. Big shout-outs to Small Town Recovery and Consulting. For all your business consulting needs, check them out at www.smalltownrecovery.com or give them a call at 702-293-1010. Also, don't forget to check out www.bombgreen.com. That's BOMGREEN.com. Now, let's get it popping.
Does do what it is.
Yo, what up? Hip Hop Roots Podcast, we officially launched and ready to roll. Make sure you hit us up on the voicemail text line 775-538-6350. Hit up the email hiphoprootspodcast@gmail.com. It's official, y'all.
Oh shit.
Who's that?
Oh
so
shit.
My first guest, I think it's only appropriate to have this man on. He's a rapper, he's a frontman, he's a host, he's a motivational leader, reptile, manifesto, raw representative, and much more. Give it up for my guy, HighDro.
Hey, much love for having me, brother. I feel good. It's great to see you.
A lot of catching up to do.
I'm proud of you, man. I'm excited about the show. I think it's a pretty awesome idea.
Just getting started.
Yeah.
You can say the fire's going.
All right. Speaking of fire going, can we get the fire going?
Oh, come on.
All right.
Is that a question? Is that a question?
I like the hat, by the way, sir. Looking mighty fresh. Hit the website online, $29.99. You too can be the owner of a fresh HighDro hat.
See, I didn't know if you got the website still active.
I do still have a website active. It's not $29.99. Oh no, not that one. That one's not active. Just where I have the hat. I forgot to.
Oh, you got the shop.
It's at like hydro.bandcamp.com. But if you just Google my name and hats, I think you'll find it too.
Hey now. So, I guess first things first, Joe.
What's that?
It's been what? 4 years, a little over 4 years since Hip Hop Roots.
Oh my god. Has it really been that damn long?
What the fuck you been up to?
Been busy. So Hip Hop Roots was one of the dopest things to ever happen in my life, and how naturally it came together, which I'm sure we'll get into later. But right around the time before Hip Hop Roots had ended, you were taking care of a lot of Hip Hop Roots, and I was on the road touring a bunch, doing more of my music, trying to focus more on my career. And I still obviously wanted to keep Roots going, and we had chapters in other cities going. But I had to get out there. I had to make some moves with my music. So I did, and then I linked up with some reggae bands after doing a couple tours myself, and went out with Abstract Rude and Musab, and respect to all the OG homies. And then, hold on 1 second.
Oh, firing it up. It's getting serious now.
So then I went out with Fortunate Youth, did a bunch of tours with them. Eventually it got to the point where it was too tough to have you running everything while I'm gone. You have DJs that call in last minute, and usually I was able to hurry up and get something together. And here I'm calling 3-4 different people while I'm in a green room before a show. It just got to be a lot of stuff going on at once. And I came back home and we talked about it, and it just made sense that we didn't want to run the show's name through the mud, have any kind of bad events that were going on really, and just not putting the energy into it that is supposed to be there.
Yeah, definitely.
So we had to step away then, and that was what you said 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think a little over.
Okay, so
I think 2013 maybe. Maybe a little later than that.
I did some touring after that, right when Roots ended, and then you came out on the road with me. You were doing some shows with me with Fortunate Youth, and helping out with stuff on the road. Then it just got to be where it was touring constantly. We'd come home 2 weeks, maybe a month, and then we'd be back on the road again for 2 months, a month. It was just a lot of road activity, which was fun, and it was great and good exposure. But eventually I just got burnt out from doing it quite a bit, and doing it on like a lower budget too, just getting by, making things happen. You're making money, but more so what you're doing is you're really gaining exposure with all these new fans across the country, which is more important than money. It's eventually going to lead to it too.
Yeah.
So I spent a good amount of time doing that, and I decided I was tired of doing some of the same material that I was doing. I didn't have enough time off from tour to be writing music, so I wanted to take a break and write. And it got way deeper. I had left a relationship, and there was just a lot of stuff in my life that happened at that time. You know, I was taking care of my grandma before she passed, and that was a bit like right after the tours started really kicking. So I just needed to get home and collect my thoughts and bring together like everything that I'd been doing to write more music and write the best music that I could possibly create, you know? And that's what I've been doing. So it's been a long time, but we put out another version of the Gia K and Inkwell album that we did. Yeah, I'm about to repost that one up. It's been all, basically a remix, reproduced. Nick just went into it, Inkwell, and just, killed it as usual, but he made it even better. There's so many different little aspects of it. So I can't wait to get that out.
Super dope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even know you guys were doing that. That's that Occupy song it's got to be one of the most talked about. Anybody that knows HighDro out here, it's always
that's dope. That
one and the Hate My Job, man. I'm telling you, I think people feel that one, but
yeah, that was a very popular song. I remember that. Like, it got to the point for me where I was putting out more positive vibe songs, trying to uplift people and send it in more of like there's real life stuff obviously within all of it, but there's more like hard stuff, I'm saying, sad stuff that are in some of the songs. But for the most part, I wanted to like really motivate people and uplift people and give them that good energy that music gave me as a kid to make me keep going on in life through all the trouble. And so Hate My Job, with people liking that so much, I'm like, damn, everyone can relate to it because we've all had a shitty job, but I just didn't like the whole energy behind it. People be like, I hate my job, screaming in the crowd, and it was dope. They get into it, but I wanted them to be more on some like, I love my job. I made some move in life, and this is now what I'm doing, and I enjoy my job because shit, people spend most of the day at
so
their
you thought
job.
About maybe remaking that song, like doing a remix about
We've
how you love your job?
It. Yeah, we've talked about it, but I don't think
it
it'll
is,
ever happen.
To watch you from back then, like you've always been a positive person, but to watch you, from being so young, pre-dreadlocks kind of thing, to being some kind of, humble guru kind of guy, and it's cool. I think it'd be a dope instead of being I hate my job, take it, be it more positive about how I love my job.
Yeah, I like the idea behind it. Maybe one day it'll come together, but right now I've just been home writing so much. I feel bad with the fans. They're awesome. They still stick around. Obviously, they're watching like snaps and Instagram and hitting me up, and I try to communicate with my fans as much as possible because I love them. I appreciate the fact that they support what I do and that they get something from the music is the most important thing. They're gaining something from the experience. So it's like an interaction back and forth because they fuel me every time that I notice people are inspired by the music, impacted by it in any way. They really like it. They needed it at that moment in their life to hear that. That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
So I've continued doing that, posting things, just kind of feeling out what fans are into. And I've developed probably 2-3 albums worth of material, and I'm looking to get that out definitely within the next 6 months. I've been really sleeping on it. I've had so much stuff going on in life. I know, in the process of all that time off, I've focused on my health insanely. So I've been going to the gym a ton and eating healthy, switched my diet up.
Hell yeah.
Gone through a couple different transitions with that, but I just feel amazing. I feel the best I've ever felt. I'm in the best shape I've ever been in. I'm happy. It's a great time to finish making these songs, bringing everything together, and getting back on the road. So I'm excited for that.
And with you making albums, one thing I noticed is I wouldn't say you necessarily theme your albums as much as it's, that Concrete Jungle was a grimy album. That was like it's a HighDro I never really got to personally see. And then you got, not even necessarily an album, but you got like things like the Jack Hare song, and switch it up, do things like the Secret Cup song. Now let me bring up that Secret Cup song. This may be my most favorite song ever. And
jam.
it's I think if you're not hip to the lingo and you ain't up to date with that genre, it's just a bunch of yabble babble. But man, SF number 5 or whatever. I just remember the story behind that. So I don't know that. Well, unless you're in there, that
song is something super special. That's a time capsule song where the folks that knew about it, they all still jam it. They hit me up all the time, and they'll send me them jamming to the video or taking dabs to the song. And what it was is we had an underground world that people did not know about. There was literally a dab culture developing across the nation of people from East Coast, West Coast, down south, up north, all the way across that were all either hash makers, growers, people that were enthusiasts of the culture. They made clothing, anything related to the dab culture. It's way different than it is right now. As you know, we had like a real family structure with the whole thing. Everyone, you know, got along in the beginning, and it was all just an admiration for the fact that you like the culture. And that song just had all these hidden messages about dabbing that other people didn't. They weren't, like you said, they weren't hip to the lingo yet. So it made it a lot of fun, because if you hear the song and you don't know about it, it still sounds dope, but you're like, what the hell is he talking about?
Straight up. Now, you've opened for a bunch of people too. I mean, I'm talking some heads, you know. I mean, a lot of us have opened up, but I mean, you've opened up for the whole Wu-Tang Clan, the whole Bone Thugs and Harmony. I mean, Tech Nine. You've done Hieroglyphics. I mean, you toured with Opio. Is there any particular tour, any particular show that like just
stood out
like
tough?
Is like the highlight still to this day, like out of everything you've done?
Yeah, there's a couple that really stick out the most. Probably one of my absolute favorites is the Talib Kweli show that was at Brooklyn Bowl.
Yeah,
it was just
there
me
for that
and,
one, yeah.
and Talib. And I've always been a fan. I mean, if you're a lyrical person, if you're into the lyrics and you love the culture of hip hop, what this is all really about, then you have to love Talib Kweli. He's fucking amazing. You know, it's the kind of music you can listen to over and over and over again, and you're pulling something out of it. And that's obviously, I think all of us are trying to put something into the music that isn't just right there at the face value moment. You want to put a message into it, and he's the king at that stuff. So doing the show with him, and after I performed, him getting on stage and giving props and being like, yo, he killed it out there. He clearly listened to the set. That was mad love. The biggest one has to be Opio with Hieroglyphics in Salt Lake City when I performed with them. When I first started touring. And I remember there was a ton of kids from Salt Lake City in the front row, and they loved hip-hop, but they weren't like really dancing too much or feeling the vibe, you know what I'm saying, like really moving too much, but you could tell that they were into it.
Yeah.
And I could see in the back of the bar there was 3 big black dudes, the only black dudes that I saw in the bar aside from Opio and a couple of HighDro members that were on that trip. And I remembered saying, like, shout out to the 3 black dudes in the back of the bar, the only people in the building with some rhythm. And I was just joking around. But they were literally the whole time like, I could see them dancing to it. And Opio came up and looked at me while I was watching the set while I was performing and made me nervous. So I just started freestyling because I forgot my lyrics. You know, you just got to keep it going to make it look like you never made the mistake. And I was in an RV at that time, that 30-foot RV that I sold like a ton of my shit for so I could go on tour with. And I just remembered the line. I was like rolling around in this hot ass RV with no AC and something else, you know. And I get off stage and he goes, yo, that Hate My Job joint, that shit was dope as fuck. He goes, in that High Grade song, keep at it, those shit, that's fire, you know. I like that smoking joint. He's like, but really, are you rolling around in that big ass RV with no AC? And for me, that was hands down. Like I wasn't for sure this is what I was supposed to do. I've loved making music since I was 10 years old, but that was just a turning moment for me, because a lot of people would say, go, go, go. And I'm like, yeah, but they know me. Okay, yeah, but they're in my city. Okay, yeah, but there's only 10 people and I'm out of town. And just, I was always waiting, you know. I wasn't the person that just believed in it 100% full on. I had to make sure this is what I was supposed to do. I always believe in myself and what I do. And I knew that I was good, but I didn't really know that I was good enough to be an artist per se. I was like, oh, this is something I love to do. I've made a ton of songs. I could see myself doing this for the rest of my life, but I'm not going to do it if other people don't like me. But people liked me everywhere I went. And for me, that right there was just the definitive moment where I fully believed in myself and I stopped bullshitting and just went full throttle. You know, this artist that I admired, he'd been all around the world. I mean, come on, Hieroglyphics. If you're a hip-hop fan, a true hip-hop fan, you know about him, you respect them. And then leaving from the conversation with him, I run into the 3 guys in the back of the bar, which just so happened to be D12. It's 3 of the guys from D12 that were in town for a show the next night that they had. And I was like, oh shit. And they're like, yo, you killed it. That was dope. So again, the night was just intense. I was on fire that night. The last one that is short and sweet is, I opened up for fucking Wu-Tang Clan. I mean, that blew my mind. That was in the beginning processes of my career. And that moment was just like, I did a great job mentally, I feel, you know, as a fan inside, holding it all together and just going out there and doing your job. And we got props from the Wu.
That's hard to do.
Both.
It's hard to do.
You know, we had the band out there, big us to GDB. They came and rocked with me on that one. And it was an amazing show. That was a big pinnacle moment for me in my career where I was like, okay, this is serious. I'm the only opener for Wu-Tang Clan. My name is on the freaking flyers out in the lobby and everything. It was legit.
That's dope. And seeing you mentioned GDB, and that's, that brings me back to the whole, again, versatility on the albums. You got together with GDB and JR Beatbox and did, 7 tracks or so on and out? I mean,
6 or 7 tracks that we did.
Completely different from what anyone else is doing, in the city, first of all. But, I mean, just after you hear Concrete Jungle and you hear Rise Up and you hear all this other, you hear Occupy, and then you all of a sudden it's like a reggae. You got this reggae feel going with the rap. Yeah. I dig it. You know what I mean? That was one of my favorite projects you did was with GDB, and I was always a GDB fan out here because they just done so good in the scene. I've been a ska fan forever.
You know what's up? Yeah,
big time. I love it.
So, I mean, big ups to Inkwell. He recorded that album. It was a live album that we did at I think it was Odds On at the time, which is now the Hideout.
Yeah.
And we were in the A room. I mean, you didn't get any better quality of sound area. And Nick was one of the best engineers, if not the best on the West Coast. The man is absolutely amazing. And he threw down on that album and really sauced it up, helped to bring the production levels to it. And we all just got in there live and did our thing, and it came out amazing. I've loved those guys for a long time. And when they lost their lead singer, they were still jamming on instrumental tip. And I said, man, we need to get together. Let's do a show. And so we started just practicing, and then I hit them. That was our first show, was opening up for Wu-Tang Clan. I remember going into the rehearsal studio and saying, hey, you guys, can you open up for a show on December 25th? And almost everybody's like, yeah, I'm pretty much good for that. And then one or two was like, I'm not 100% sure. What's the show? I'm like, we're opening up for Wu-Tang Clan. It's just us and Wu-Tang Clan. What? Wu-Tang Clan? So they went crazy.
Yeah.
And obviously everybody cleared their schedule, and we made it happen. But those guys are so much fun to work with because it's just a live band is another level from having a DJ. A DJ, it's always going to be one specific feel when the track starts to play. You know what I mean? In between, things will change up, and there's a huge chemistry to having a DJ on stage alone. However, the difference with having a band is sometimes the songs are a little faster, sometimes certain parts get slower, faster, and as an artist, as the vocalist, you have to adjust to that, and they're adjusting to you, and there's this chemistry that goes on stage where every night it's like you're making something new. It's very similar to what you've been making, but it always has a new fun feel to it, to where every night when you do it, it never gets stale,
Yeah. So. Well, even that, like, you did a track with Kurt Taylor, right? Rest in peace, and say, but he, even that one, I think that was his song though. But you were featured on it.
Yeah, Kurt is the man. A ton of people in the local community know who Kurt is.
Yeah.
The band that I watched him rock with a ton was Stereo High. I know he'd been in bands prior that were very popular, and he was just that guy. He connected so many people in the music industry to one another. He was a connector. When you look at my phone, if you put Kurt's name, there was probably 15 people that will pop up with his name next to it, met through Kurt, So he would always, hey, I know this guitar player. Hey, I know this guy. Hey, someone needs a rapper. So he was just plugging people in all the time. And he was a guy you'd always see he was a fun guy to drink with and smoke with, have a good time with. He was just always that great energy that he brought to the circle.
Yeah, which is, that's what he brought it to his music. You could hear it come through his music and stuff. But, so there's a ton of people watching that already know Hip Hop Roots. I know they got their start. I already had a ton of messages before we launched talking about, I got my start on Hip Hop Roots. It's so dope. You guys are coming back, all that. But for those people who don't even know the brand name, 6 years plus, over 300 shows straight, weekly, never missed a week, positive artist support and artist attitude.
Yeah.
The environment was completely positive, not one violent event. I mean, Hip Hop Roots. I mean, like, what does that name mean to you? I mean, that's like when I even say it, like, even the thought about the podcast coming back and just seeing the logo again, it was like, it made me 26 again. You know what I mean? Like, it made me feel like I was going to the open mic, and it was like, wow, here we go, new endeavor kind of thing. You know what I mean? So, but you know what I mean? That's your baby? You know what I mean? Because even that, some people don't know. HighDro is the creator and the manifester, the person who created Hip Hop Roots and the whole vision behind it. Without him, there would be no Roots. But to me too, Hip Hop Roots was everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just the fact that you put a show together. It was because the people who showed up and the attitude they gave, and everybody had a part. Even if you weren't an employee, so to speak, or running the show, like, it was I don't know. I got a ton of mess. I couldn't tell you how fuzzy I got just with all this stuff. But like, as you being the creator and seeing this all come back and stuff, like, what you thinking?
I gotta say that you definitely nailed it with. That's what made Hip Hop Roots successful. Is it was everyone's. Everyone was a part of that. When you walked in the door, you didn't feel like you walked into someone else's show. You felt like you walked into your show. You might be a break dancer, you might be a beatboxer, you might be an MC, you might be a producer, you might be a DJ. Everyone had a place there, and they intermingled. I watched so many groups come together out of that. I watched so many producer MCs come together out of all of that. There was a shit ton of unity and people being able to have a hub to meet and take their career to the next level. So that was awesome. When I think about Hip Hop Roots, is one of the greatest memories in my entire music history, which is some of my greatest memories in general come from music, So there was so many good times, there was so many bad times, but the bad times always ended up leveling out and being good. I mean, I've been slammed against walls in the back of bunkhouse by crazy dudes that were lit up. I've been, dealt with a lot of different issues. We've had people broke down in the bathroom, ready to damn near kill themselves. Yep. Talking about this being the only thing that keeps them going. There's been so many moments that range from chill to intense, from happy to sad. Obviously, all those years involved, 6 years, you're going to see a ton of different shit through it all. So it was awesome. I got to learn a lot through Hip Hop Roots. I got to meet a ton of great people in the city. I got to grow through it all. It really taught me a lot of business structure from the beginning. I think that's another thing that made us successful is I really thought it out after I decided to go get serious about this and put together a formula. And when you ended up finding the show and coming about, you saw there was this formula. And I think that's something that you really were like, whoa, this is different. Time. I appreciate this. This has real structure to it. And it also was no biased anything. Everyone was allowed at this show, whereas in the past it was hard for people to get on to find a place to perform. Because it was real cliquey, and we removed that. I didn't join any crews. I respected everybody. I loved all the crews. Everybody that got down I had some love for. We've had our ins and our outs of different situations, but for the most part I got love for everyone in the scene. Anyone who's willing to get on stage and put it out there like that.
And that's what was cool, because the word, just because it said hip-hop in it, had really nothing to do with it. It was a cultural thing for us to have it was like a family, you know what I mean? So to know that you could walk into Hip Hop Roots at any Tuesday or any Friday, whatever it was going on, and not know whether you'd see a couple B-boys on the floor or a spoken word poet up there, or I can't even remember his name. We had some dude, 78 years old, was up there rapping and stuff.
A few times.
Yeah, that was, it was just, you never knew what you got. I think it made people feel comfortable to get on stage. People who were contemplating would come in and see it and see the energy and know that it was support, and,
there was comedians that would come in there. Big time. I mean, one of the things that hits me a lot in my memory about Hip Hop Roots is once we moved up to LVCS and the crew would come in with jabs and I run them, and one of the girls had wrote a poem for I think it was like a class or something of that nature, maybe just in general, about Hip Hop Roots. She's like, I walk in, the lights hit me, the energy is there, it's live. The people that are performing are my friends. They're the people that I know. This is their platform. This is their place. It was just like, that shit was magic. I really enjoyed it. But that was the vibe. She captured it in that poem, because when he came in, it did have that essence. It was just, we were killing it at LVCS. To have a stage like that for local performers, it just wasn't accessible in the past on a weekly basis. Nothing like that. It was absolutely amazing. And it was pros and there was cons. And I hope we end up talking about some of those, but what it did to the artists in general, from going on no stage to big stage, then to back to no stage. I guess we might as well just touch on it. That's something that always tripped me out. Yeah,
it's hard. I guess you could see it. It's hard to, you get spoiled, especially when you come up and, that's when you see a stage that ain't even as high as this table, and you're like, I'm supposed to stand on that and perform, and it's like, I've stand on no stage and performed, but
let's just take it there. Let's just take Hip Hop Roots to where it started and kind of develop from here, letting people know what we're talking about right now. So when Hip Hop Roots had started, it was a situation where my friend Missy at the bunkhouse was cashing out like $4 a night on a Tuesday night. So nobody was coming in. They weren't having hardly any business at all. One or two people would buy a beer a night, and that's it. So I was just getting started. There was nowhere to really perform, and I needed somewhere to perform. And then she said, oh, well, you should come down here and perform on a Tuesday night and bring some folks down. There's like no one here ever. My buddy Jesse Mills, he ended up introducing me to her and the whole punk rock culture. So I ended up not just supporting the local hip hop community, but I got real deep in with the local independent music culture in general. So whether it was rock and roll, heavy stuff, the indie guys, I became friends with all of these folks. And that was Missy's crew, who was at Bunkhouse. She was more into the indie and the rock. And shout out to her dude Zubby, who was one of the most amazing bass players in town. You know, that group of people, like holding on to sound. So it was awesome for me because before that I didn't have a lot of punk influence or anything, and to support these people and be supported back, it was great. So either way, we go in there and we set up everything for the first night. They do really good. She cashed out $200, and she said, you got to come back every Tuesday and do this. And I'm like, I can't come back every Tuesday and rap for people. It's just, that's not going to work. I could do it a couple times, but I just started meeting some MCs, Shamrock and a couple other people in town that I was becoming friends with. Yeah. So I said, I could put them on a show, I guess. And it literally came together exactly like that. There was never any planning. Hip Hop Roots was not something in the beginning that I just said, this is what needs to happen and we're going to do all this. It naturally manifested organically on its own. And that's another thing that was a key to its success. So not having any biasness, allowing anyone to come into the whole thing. I gave everybody a chance to perform at it, not clicking anything up. Making it a weekly gave someone always a place to perform, and it just started making sense to me. In the beginning, it's funny, a lot of people don't know this show was called Rhyme and Rhythm. I want to say it was called Rhyme and Rhythm. It was spoken word, hip hop, reggae, all this, because some folks don't remember this time, but it was basically illegal to do hip hop shows. On a weekly basis. The police would come in and shut down a facility, take their liquor license, because it was racism that was so much involved. A lot of the shows that were hip hop have a ton of black folks, and they would have some kind of a conflict every once in a while at these events, and then all of a sudden police were just, nope, that's not going to happen. We see a bunch of black folks congregating, it must be a hip hop show, we're shutting this down. And it took away the ability for artists to have spots to perform, especially on a weekly basis. People like Campfire, big ups to them. They would keep shows going. They would do it on like a monthly basis. They had a bunch of different spots, but there were so many MCs that were part of the crew. It was hard for you to get a chance to perform on stage. I talked to a lot of MCs that they were trying to get on, and it was tough. So I decided, okay, well, let's get this thing going. We did the whole Rhyme and Rhythm for a little while. And then it just made sense to me, okay, I'm going to incorporate the music that I love right now and the music that I grew up on as my main love as well. So I still love hip hop, obviously, but I really fell in love with reggae around that time in my life. And then I took the hip hop aspect, the reggae aspect, brought them together to keep the police off our ass. So I would have a reggae band or two reggae bands every single night at the bunkhouse shows that we do on those Tuesdays, mixed in with hip hop artists. And I would key it up to where when the cops showed up, because they did always to come check on the shows, there would be such a diverse mix of Asian, Mexican, white, black folks. There was tons of different people in the crowd. It wasn't any segregated type following for the show. So they'd look around and they're like, this ain't really hip hop. And then I'm on stage like, hey, respect everybody. You take care of the venue, tip the bartender. We don't want to start any fights here. Everyone be sure you keep it cool. It's hard enough to keep hip hop alive in Vegas as it is, to make these cops know, what they were doing, the pressure they were putting us under, and that it was stupid that they were even there. Yeah. And then the reggae bands would be playing every time that they'd come in. I try to always gear it for that. I mean, I've had Undercover come in and threaten me about a ton of stuff over the years, and that's why I started doing that more so. And eventually they tapered down on it. More people started throwing some shows, and it wasn't as big of an issue. They'd still come at us talking about licensing for DJs and licensing for this. And it's like, we're making barely anything. This is just a cultural event for people to come and have a spot to perform and not get in trouble. Leave it alone, But we worked our way up from bunkhouse, and we built the shows to the point that they would be packed. We did Capadonna was the first big show there. It was just huge shows. Then it moves on from the bunkhouse, which had a stage, this big? Yep. Moves on from the bunkhouse to Boomers, and we had a stage that was basically the same size, maybe just a couple inches bigger. People still came out to Boomers. And that whole movement in general deserves some mention to, I just lost her name. The punk rock promoter and performer that was at Boomers that I ended up linking up with. I cannot believe I can't remember her name right now.
Is that Nikki?
No.
I'm trying
there was a punk rock promoter and performer, part of a really dope band. Her and her husband both were in. Can't believe I can't remember her name right now. Either way, they ended up really taking a liking to what we were doing, and they would throw punk nights sometimes on the same night with Hip Hop Roots at Boomers, because there was 2 venues inside of Boomers back to back, a larger venue in the back that had a larger stage, and then the smaller stage one. And after we took a liking to each other and everything was all cool, basically they switched over to Boomers when they left. Oh no, sorry, dang, we're gonna have to edit that little part out, I guess.
Yeah.
Either way, we linked at Boomers. We got cool. Then once she left Boomers, she went to LVCS. And it was this huge venue. I was like, oh, respect, big ups. You guys are killing it. This is so dope. One day, hopefully, I could throw a show here. And she's like, why don't you just come here and start throwing your weekly here and, you know, leave Boomers? I'm like, they're not going to let me in here. Hip hop here. No way. This place is huge.
Yeah.
And I have more history with myself with this venue that maybe one day we'll talk about. That was the first place I threw my own show, just a HighDro show for people.
Oh, no
and it was an empty building. I think I've talked to you about this in the past.
Yeah.
There was nothing in there, you know? And then I come back and it's a multi-million-dollar renovation, and the place is all decked out crazy style, and now this is where Hip Hop Roots is. Sure enough, I had a meeting with the owner. He checked out everything. He was weary, but he ended up going with it. And after the first couple of shows, he's talking to the newspaper about how much he believes in hip-hop and what we're doing, and he just thinks it's amazing that there's no fights, and he's got these punk events where there's fights almost every night that they have, and we're up there. He's assuming it was going to be problems, and no problems at all. So now we're at LVCS, and our stage is raised to, like, you know, it's getting pretty nice. It's sitting at a good spot. We do so many shows there, pack this place with Hieroglyphics, Aesop Rock, a bunch of other big acts that are coming into the place. It was the hub for underground hip hop artists. And then basically different managers would come in, and they'd come and they'd go. They bring a new manager in from House of Blues, and we did so many big shows that they ended up building a larger stage there. So they just amped it up, took it to another level. They put a larger sound system in there and everything, and it was crazy huge. People would come out and perform that had never been on a stage before, and they are on a world-class stage.
For real.
It was
Big
nuts,
time.
you know? So they loved it. A lot of these people never even experienced not having a stage. So their first chance was this. It's like, you know, these youngsters that are the younger ones that are coming to smoke, they've never had stress. They've never even smoked. Some of them never even smoked weed.
To the fire,
they're unconcentrated and they're just blasted. You know what I mean? But we experienced that development through all of that.
Yeah.
You know, we all went
so
from
many
no
venues,
stage
so
to
many
bigger stage.
venues.
So the thing was, then once that happens, I had a falling out with the guy at LVCS. He was basically getting rid of majority of all the staff and cutting a lot of our legs out from underneath us. It really was a bad situation. And I made the conscious decision that we had to pull out of there. And we made the move. It was actually almost a mutual deal now that I sit and I pan on it a bit, because he was basically pushing me out already as is. He was bringing in a new promoter. Me and him just never had gotten along very well from the beginning, and I was waiting for him to just go, because I'd seen 6 of these managers at this place already at this point.
Yeah.
He was just, come on, go, man. I kept the dang doors open in this place when it'd be only Hip Hop Roots for months at a time, and maybe 1 or 2 little, you know, a Latino show that they'd have come in that would be a party, and they told me literally, if your show wasn't going on, we wouldn't have kept the doors open here. And then that guy came in, and it was just a very sour everything. Did not like the experience. We left there. Can't remember, you or somebody had talked me into, hey, let's take it back to Boomers. Let's just get back to where we were at the last. And I felt bad about a downgrading of it, I felt, you know. But ultimately, we had no choice. We had to get out of that situation. And there weren't other venues accessible like that. I'd looked around. We did our hunting to try and see if we could find something else. And we went back to Boomers. And it was cool. To me, it's no big deal. As an MC, I mean, I'll rap wherever. It's a backyard party. If you like to rap, if you're into hip-hop, you rap. You just do that. Doesn't matter. You don't need a huge stage. You don't need lighting and all this stuff. But for these people who had experienced this big stage in the beginning of their career,
For real.
then when they go to Boomers, they're like, you guys expect me to rap on that stage? And I'm sitting here in my head trying to be as humble as I could possibly be
it's a rude
about
awakening.
the stages that I've been on in my life. And I'm willing to get on this stage. Why the hell wouldn't you be willing to get on this stage?
Yeah,
But,
some people, like I said, that's spoiled. You
Yeah.
know, some people expect some things.
you know, at that time when Hip Hop Roots was going on, that was something that irked me. I'm like, man, you've got to respect the fact that you even have a place to perform. And
Yeah, for sure.
but
Well,
you know.
luckily for some of these venues now, there seems to be a lot more. But, I mean, speaking of venues, I'll just segue straight in. We went out, Hip Hop Roots hit the streets this past Friday. We went out to First Friday and checked out the festivities. So y'all, peep it out.
Welcome to First Friday Las Vegas. The First Friday Foundation is a nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting local arts and culture. This foundation works with community-minded organizations across the Las Vegas Valley, including schools, youth groups, senior centers, ethnic and faith-based organizations, and other nonprofits. They celebrate diversity and engage people around one core central theme: creativity. Their vision is to constantly and emphatically seek, discover, inspire, and explore creativity in all its forms, to ignite the creative spirit that exists in us all. The Las Vegas First Friday Arts Festival is held on the first Friday of every month in downtown Las Vegas, fostering creativity and culture, featuring art, music, food, and so much more. For more information, please visit them at www.ffflv.org.
That's First Friday, Las Vegas Art District. Again,
Shit.
if you ain't peep it, you're slipping. They've been doing that for I don't know how many years, but
Good times.
culture, baby.
It's good times. I always like going to that. It's
Had
gotten
to
better.
switch it up and light that blunt. I know. You it's like
Green.
kryptonite to HighDro.
I guess it's not a good time for me to bring out your gift bag that Raw gave you.
Oh,
you bastard.
dear. Shout outs to Raw.
You
It's the biggest sponsor of Hip Hop Roots. Check them out at rawthenic.com, RAWE, thenic.com.
No, yeah. I can't smoke your blunt, sir. Nope. Raw life, baby. That's what we about right here. You know, I love it.
You're distributing for them officially, right?
I'm not a distributor, no. I'm the marketing rep. I am the Raw Rolling Papers marketing representative for Nevada. And I do a little bit of California, some South Lake Tahoe.
So you're basically
No,
getting them
Arizona.
into the stores and in the shops.
No. My job's really easy, and it's a whole lot of fun. Shout out to Rob. I love that shit. It's awesome. So basically, Raw is a company that I've been using this product forever. I was the guy in the hood that would roll through every single week with a brand new like blunt wrap. I'd have the new tequila wrap, the new blueberry wrap. When all the new blunts were coming out, I was always on it. Had my fake ID, and me and the smoke shop dude, me and AB we were on point. He would always let me know when something brand new was out, and they'd have like a sampler. I'm gonna skip it, and then. So I would come through all the time. They're like, what? Oh, my God. Papaya blunt. What's it? You know.
Yeah.
And eventually I was smoking them 50 boxes. And I'd roll up the 50 box and have it sitting on the damn table. And if anybody come over, I'd just give them a blunt. I'd sit there and wake up, smoke 5-10 of those motherfuckers before lunch. So I wake up one morning and I'm coughing up blood. Happened again
Lovely.
another morning. And I go, all right, I need to stop this. This is getting ridiculous. So my throat was just murdering. I forgot what good weed tastes like, smoking blunts for so damn long. So I got off the blunts
Boof
and I started
wraps.
smoking, yeah, for sure. I started smoking the raw papers. But how that happened first is I started going through the smoke shop. I was young, you know, I wasn't even 18 yet. And I would go through and I get the coconut wrap. And then I get the clear wrap. And then I get the vanilla wrap. And I'd have all these different wraps. And eventually raw came out. I saw them. They had the 1 1/4s and the king size. That was it. Not 500 SKUs of different papers. And I'd scoop up 3 packs every time because this paper was so amazing. There's no dye. It's all natural. Like, I just loved the product. You could taste the cannabis you're smoking. At that time, I started getting onto the cron, and I was really wanting to taste it to the maximum. So, yeah, I ended up buying 3 packs every time. And I give 2 packs to friends, and I keep a pack. And when mine would get low, I go buy 3 packs, and I do it again. And eventually, I had a buddy that was acting as a representative manager for me at the time, taking phone calls from the website if anyone called for booking or anything. And he gets a phone call from Raw, and they want me to promote a show because they looked up local promoters in the town, and they found us for hip-hop, and they wanted to really get into the local community here. There weren't a lot of people in Las Vegas that were smoking Raw. There was a lot more blunts. So they hit my manager up. He hits me up. He said, some company, he didn't know much about weed at the time, and he's like, some company named like Raw Rolling Papers just called me, and they want you to. I'm like, who? Give me that phone number. And I called it, you know,
yeah,
like
right.
Talking to the guys about it and everything. So they set it up where I would be promoting a show for, I think it was Wiz Khalifa and Currency, or Devin the Dude and Currency, that were on the Strip. And it ended up falling through, but I said, hey, you know, we run this show every week. We're on Las Vegas Boulevard in Fremont. I've been repping the brand for a long time. I'm an artist also. You know, oh, we already know about you. We've already looked into you and all this. Yes, we're already, it sounds interesting. You know, we're something that we're interested in. We're going to fly out in like a week and come check out your show. So this guy comes out from Atlanta, shows up at my house with a huge box of product, and is like, you're already sponsored here, but let me check out the show and everything and see if we're going to continue doing sponsorship. And he came out, and it just so happened to be a night that was not a busy night. But he totally saw the vision, saw where we were at, and they went through and they continued it. The relationship just kept developing where they started doing these banners, and then they worked with our other chapters when we opened up multiple chapters in other cities. And they would make these banners just like this, but it would say Hip Hop Roots Salt Lake City, Hip Hop Roots Boise, Hip Hop Roots San Diego, all the different chapters, names underneath. And that relationship lasted for a long time. They would sponsor tours that I would do where they would help out product endorsement stuff, and I would go out on the road with it and just, you know, promote it basically, and they would hook up stuff for tours to make things work. Then I'd introduce them to other people like Fortunate Youth, started getting more and more artists out there with Raw. And one day Dale, the main marketing guy over there at Raw, ended up hitting me up and said, hey, I don't want to insult you or anything. I know you've been home from tour for a while. I have this gig. It's a marketing gig for Raw. You only work 1 day a week. It's really easy. If you're interested in it, you know, let me know. And of course, that company is amazing. I've loved them forever. I've always had a great relationship with them. Josh is the man. The owner is an absolute genius and a fan of the music. And I've always, you know, had a great relationship with them in general. So multi-million-dollar company, they're just getting bigger and bigger. They can't even keep up with everything they're doing. You'd be an idiot not to do that.
It's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to have for sure.
So I ended up saying, obviously, yes. I've been working with the company I worked with them for 1 year. And after I was with them for a year, I ended up going full time, which is 2 days, 3 days a week, pretty much. It's not much work still, but it's great exposure for me to get out there, meet a ton of people. I love doing this anyways. I believe in the product, so I've always been about it. And then it helps to fund my music career. It helps to fund these next projects that are coming out. So I really have the money needed to hit. And
you get to travel a bunch too, you know, and that's always a plus.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, second year came around. I've been with them almost 2 years now. I think come January I'll be with them for 2 years, and I love them. It's family. We'll always be family. Always will rock with that company.
So then on your spare time, you just eat spinach and do push-ups with one hand on your handstand, or what? I know people are looking at you like, that don't look like HighDro. It looks like the Incredible Hulk.
Shut the fuck up. I love my yoga and lifestyle change, big time, man.
Follow this guy's Snapchat. He's the handstand king of the world.
I'm good. I do have a lot of fun with it, but it's just a ton of practice, you know, and inspires a lot of other people, which is great. And I get into conversation with people at the gym all the time and get them into more core workouts. And it makes exercising fun because you don't just lift weights then. You also incorporate the handstands. I do a little bit of yoga, a little bit of breakdancing, a little bit of, you know, calisthenics, tons of stuff, the flag poles and all that stuff. I love it. So I got into that tough when I took the break, and I'm still on it tough. I just left the gym about an hour ago. It's fun, you know. You got to take care of yourself. Health is wealth, baby. It's true.
Yeah, that's right. You feel good. You live good.
You inspired me a ton too. You as well as Inkwell. You know, eating healthier first when I was still eating complete crap and not caring about anything I put into my body, even though I knew because I was a smart cat.
I remember all those Fogo de Chao runs.
Oh boy,
and, man, you're like, you don't want to go green. I'm like, well, I'm gonna sit there and No.
No, the green went green. Yeah.
Can't do that. Can't do that.
I do miss sometimes, but you know, for the most part, you don't. It's a mental decision that when you make it, everything else doesn't become so hard. It's sure you like candy or whatever, but if you made the decision in your mind that I can't do this, this is not right for my body, I don't want it, and you knew what was going to happen if you stopped doing it and you continue doing it, it's just a mental change. You know,
and once you do it and you start feeling the difference, and that was big with me, the meat
Seeing
thing
it.
and the less eating and stuff. It was like, you started feeling like that metabolism coming back a little, and you start feeling, you go, oh, that's what it's like to have energy again, and
to eat meat. I feel, my personal opinion, everyone has their own personal opinions. That's not the problem. The problem is the meat, the quality of the meat. It's regular vegetables these days. For the most part, a lot of them are treated so poorly, you don't really want to consume that. You're eating the crap that they're putting onto the plants, all the garbage. You go organic, at least you're getting a cleaner product, and to pay a little bit extra for your health, it makes total sense. With the meat, if they didn't inject it with all the crap and treat it terrible with the bad vibration, I believe in hunting. I think that if you were to hunt the meat and use the meat that you end up, taking out to take care of your family and everything, then there's nothing wrong with that. Joe Rogan's inspired a lot of that belief in me, seeing different people speak on his show about it, and opens up your mind, and you say, people got to stop treating a diet like religion. It's me against them because he eats meat and I don't, and whatever else. Forget those veggie eaters. It's just a health choice of what you want to eat.
That's exactly what
people.
it is. Big time.
I stayed friends with you even though you wouldn't be a Fogo de Chao anymore.
You tried to make me pay for that $35 salad bar they had. I was like,
hey, it's worth it,
that
baby.
ain't happening, boy.
It's worth it.
It ain't happening.
Yeah.
Well, son of a bitch.
Yeah, what else would we...
I don't know, man. You've been doing a lot of, like I said, I said that guru shit. That's not even you do a lot of motivational stuff. I mean, there was times I've, within the last couple years have had hard times myself where, you were the only person that I really even could come to and stuff. And it was, you have some kind of energy, but when I ask other people about who inspires them and things like that, it's like, Royce the 5'9" and Tech 9 and, it's music and this. And, I know that I didn't even have to ask you to know your probably only musical choice is probably going to be Michael Franti. You know what I mean? But I know you've been listening to this dude, Jocko, a bunch. Which actually I just started getting into, and I can see why, you know what I mean? But, you don't just listen to just, like I do a lot of Howard Stern, but you're like, that's just too much funny and haha for you. You like all that positive, uplifting stuff.
I want to learn something always. I want to be able to, as a kid, I was always seeking out the truth. I was always seeking out answers in life. What was really going on in life? What's really happening? What is this all about? So that's never ended. It's continued to this day. And I love gurus. I love, basically, when I was young, my folks were not religious. They never made me go to a church at all, but I wanted to know about it. I had friends that went to church. So I went to every single different church and tried to experience this feeling that people spoke about. And sometimes I would get this feeling there, but ultimately it never felt right for me. I'd take a little bit from this and a little bit from this and a little bit from this, and that's what, would develop who I am. Yeah. And I never would put any, people go, oh, are you Rastafari? No, I've researched into it. I do believe in a lot of the things they believe in, obviously ganja, bless, but many more things than just that. But I don't believe fully in everything they believe in. And I don't personally, just with myself, I don't take any structured religion. Anything that you have to do this and be this, that I don't think makes sense. You don't have to make a law not to kill people, not to steal, for me to know that I wouldn't want someone to kill me or someone I love. I wouldn't want someone to steal from someone that I know or that I love. So that's all basic common sense stuff. And I've just always followed my heart. I've always been someone that's, if I believe this, if they make sense to me, then I'm going to take this in. And then I never set a concrete boundary. So if I have a belief and this is what I really do truly believe in and I share with other people, it's never concrete, because I know that there's so many times that I've been wrong. And then, you learn from it. Otherwise, you stay stubborn and you deny the fact that you just learned that you were wrong, and you go, no, I'm not wrong, and you keep continuing on this path. And that just doesn't make sense to me. Sadhguru, that's a big one that I've been checking out a lot lately. And he's just a guru that is more of a newer age guru. And every guru should be a new age guru. You know,
You got to be up to times. And
a guru is someone who is a dispeller of darkness. So they shine light on darkness. And if there's someone from 50, 60 years ago, they can't really shine the light on the darkness that you're sitting in right here. So I love gurus. Jocko was a huge life-changing point for me, finding out about that guy through Joe Rogan. I love Joe Rogan's podcast. I check out a ton of different people, from neurologists to funny comedians, but mainly I like the stuff I'm going to learn from, how the biology, the human body works, everything. So I seek knowledge. I always want to know more. And
as you should. I think, which is a lot of people, I mean, I think people say they do, but I think people could do that a lot more, you know. I think TV is a big thing with me. I don't, you know, I can't get sucked into that because it's just, I mean, unless it's documentaries or something that's kind of feeding me that stuff that I want to know. But I don't know, these sitcom kind of things and game shows, just something about it. And I think it's because it doesn't keep my brain active like that, you know what I mean? So
you got to self-program yourself. And that was the biggest thing that made a huge change in my life, was deciding to self-program. I turned the TV off. I loved music so much that I didn't have time for TV anymore. I got rid of my video game systems, gave it to my friends, and I just wrote music. I was just focused on writing music to get all those albums out that I pumped out. I've got like 7, 8 albums out. And they came quick, you know. It's been as of late that I've been pausing, gathering my life, getting it to the place I want to be, to put out this music that is just going to be beyond anything I've ever created before, having so much more knowledge and the sharpness of my lyrical capability in general, all incorporated into these albums. I'm just excited for that new growth of it all.
That's awesome.
But as a kid, I was an only child. You know, my mom was not around a ton. She had to work. She was a single mom for a lot of that time, and then she was a bar enthusiast.
I read a quote somewhere that said, you know, basically that, you know, music raised you, you know, helped raise you because your parental
that's the
T-shirts,
was a little absent. Music saved my life, and music definitely helped raise me. There were so many moments where I was, you know, attempted suicide situations, and I'd be pulled right out through the music. Something about the message that I just grabbed onto, and I was like, this is keeping me alive. This is a reason to keep going. And that's what I've always tried to put back into the music, if I could give that back to people.
Hell yeah.
Someone else that was going down that same path, they were like in a real fucked up situation, they heard the music and made that change just like it made for me.
Now to go off from, like, you know, inspiration stuff, now in the hip hop and rap and stuff like that, now who would you say would be your biggest influence as far as, you know, I know there's many because you've got such a big ear when it comes to stuff.
My hip-hop influence started really young, so it was a ton of gangster West Coast music that I grew up on, really, as a trip as it is, but that's that concrete jungle vibe that you heard.
Yeah.
That's who I was as a youngster. And ended up developing more into the reggae side as I got older. But in the beginning, it was a lot of gangster rap. It was like Method Man, some Wu-Tang Clan, little bit of Talib Kweli at that time. I didn't know a lot about underground hip-hop when I was first starting out into hip-hop. I knew about the mainstream stuff, the things that you'd hear about. DMX, you know, anyone who's really buzzing, obviously. Eminem, ton of artists. And I thought Eminem was the only white rapper for many years. As I started, I was like, I can't rap, there's already a white guy doing it. And I had no clue there was like all
especially when he's doing it that good. You're like,
that's where I gotta compete with that I came from, you know, that dude was just smashing. And there were so many great artists that I grew up on that really hit me deep. Beanie Siegel was a big one for me.
So if you were dropped on an island and they were like, they gave you that crate and they were like, you get one album, bro.
And it's hip hop.
Yeah.
It's gotta be hip hop.
Yeah.
Okay, if it's one album and it's hip hop, it's got to be AT Aliens Outcast. I just love that fucking album. I can always go back to that album.
Yeah, that's a good tune. You can listen to it all the way through, too. That's a good one.
That's a vibe right there. But, yeah, you know, I love all kinds of music. There's all kinds of stuff. As I got older, the things that influence me now when it comes to hip-hop, the people who are out now really crushing and doing stuff, J. Cole, 100%. I love that guy's been able to stay so pure. Comes with a great message. He's got really good music. The in-between talk that I'll see from the internet with him speaking to fans and things, that's what it's all about to me. He's a real a fresh glass of water type shit in this scene that we're at right now. You know, things are just getting... debatable, so many old school heads that are not accepting this newer style of hip hop because there isn't the culture in it anymore. It's something different. It's more party stuff and has its time and its place. I'm not saying I don't like some of the new music that's out. I do like some of it. There's a lot of it that I just cannot get with because I am a fan of the culture. I'm a purist of this hip-hop music. KRS-One, all of that. If you don't have that vibe that you're bringing something to uplift people in some way, if you don't have enough intelligence to know that the music that you make, the impact that you make is impacting other people and what that vibe's going to do to those people, you're pretty dumb. You really just do not have a good grasp on what reality even is, and you're living in a fantasy world. And artists in the beginning that came up in hip-hop, they knew the impact that they made, and they tried to impact people in the best way possible, or at least give a message from the community that they were in of what it looked like in this, versus people who like maybe are not really about selling drugs, not really about shooting people, not really about any of the other stuff they're saying they're about, but they preach this to this youth, to the younger kids, and they all then do this stuff for real.
Yeah, learn your history.
Yeah.
You know what? On that note, check out this segment, History This Month in Hip Hop.
Oh, I like it.
This month in hip hop history. November 14th, 1964. Rev Run of Run DMC was born in Queens, New York. November 20th, 1965, Mike D of the Beastie Boys was born in New York City, New York. November 15th, 1967, E40 was born in Vallejo, California. November 9th, 1970, Scarface of the Ghetto Boys was born in Houston, Texas. November 28th, 1974, Styles P of the Lox was born in Queens, New York. November 29th, 1979, The Game was born in Compton, California. November 18th, 1985, Def Jam Recordings and Columbia Records artist LL Cool J releases his debut album, Radio. November 10th, 1992, Jive Records recording artist UGK releases their debut album, Too Hard to Swallow. November 24th, 1992, Delicious vinyl artist The Far Side releases their debut album, Bizarre Ride to the Far Side. November 9th, 1993, Loud Records recording artist Wu-Tang Clan releases their debut album, Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers. November 12th, 1996, web entertainment artist Eminem releases his debut album, Infinite. November 4th, 1998, hip-hop American crime drama film Belly was released. November 30, 1994, Tupac Shakur was shot 5 times and robbed in the lobby of Quad Studios in New York City. November 12th, 1994, Big L released his first single called Put It On. And November 12th, 1973, the Universal Zulu Nation was formed by none other than Africa Bambaataa himself. This was this month in hip-hop history.
It's funny. I like it.
Dude,
yeah.
I don't know who that guy was, but he started off English and ended Australian.
He got real Tales of the Crypt midway through, too.
Yeah, for real, right? That got real dark towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, if you guys, anybody's got ideas for segments, you can also hit the voicemail line. Text it, voiced it, 775-538-6350. You can hit the email, hiphoprootspodcast@gmail.com. Or you can just send in your ideas and your videos, and if we like them, we'll use them. We'll use them.
Nice. That's it?
That's it, man.
Oh, man. Green, it's good catching up with you.
I'm glad you came through.
I can't wait to see the show keep doing its thing.
Yes, man. I'm glad you could come in and kind of break down a little bit. I wish we had more time, but
we'll do it again
you'll be back
time.
in here.
There's a lot of memories.
Next week, we will have JR Beatbox.
Oh, I'm going to love it.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be nice, so we will pick up on the hip-hop roots memories.
Dope.
I'm going to smoke these blunts with you as soon as we get off camera.
I ain't smoking these blunts with you, player. I got these joints.
Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you share. Tell your people. Go Knights, go.
Yeah. Bless.
Out.
Here we are. it. From LA to NY, we all getting faded. All across the nation, tell me who got the best. The top shelf extracts, I won't settle for the rest. No, it's gotta be that proper, get me high as helicopters. Chest thumping like a chopper, coughing like I need a doctor. Talking slow like a mobster, leaning low in my chair. Thinking what should I hit next, could get high off the air. Dabbing with the judges, extract extraordinaire. Tangy to the T.I. Terps, got them well aware. Highly educated, top notch debonair. You damn right we faded, but I